Heartbreak in the Champions League and heartbreak in the FA Cup means success this season all hinges on Premier League glory, but the bigger question is whether the board will keep me around to try and fulfil that glory, as my job hangs by a thread in this must-see finale. But as ever, if you're enjoying the series so far, please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get into today's episode. Now, with just 10 games remaining in the Premier League campaign, and some more favourable fixtures on the back end of the Premier League calendar, I am still confident, along with the rest of my squad, that we can go all the way this season. However, if we're going to do it, we're going to have to do it without our main man, Moussa Diaby, picking up a shocking ACL injury, which is going to see him out for the next 7 months, which means he's going to miss all of the remainder of the season, and he's certainly going to miss the start of next season too. And it means in his absence, I'm going to be looking for the likes of Nicolo Zaniolo, Wilfred Gnonto, Leon Bailey, and potentially even Emi Buendia to all step up in his absence. With 5 goals already to his name this season, I actually think I'm going to give the nod to Wilfred Gnonto to come in on the right-hand side to replace him. Now, to be fair, the former Leeds man has struggled a little bit since joining Aston Villa from Leeds back in Season 1. However, with him just being 21 years of age and with him only appearing 10 times this season but getting 5 goals in all competitions, I still think there is a lot of potential to unlock from the young Italian. And talk about making an instant impression, despite Ollie Watkins getting a goal in the 21st minute, it is that man Wilfred Gnonto who will take the headlines, as his 2 goals in the second half are enough to give us a 3-1 win away from home against West Ham to get us back in the win column. And with Jimenez and Fratesi coming to the rescue at home against Brentford, once again we continue our fine form in the Premier League. 2-1, and it's another 3 points. And we continue this brilliant run with another hard-fought victory. This time, only 1-0 will do as we beat Bournemouth away from home. And we finish off a wonderful run of games with another victory, this time 3-1 at home to Nottingham Forest, with Wilfred Gnonto getting on the score sheet again. Well, my word, 3 goals in his last 4 games, and what a way to come in and really deputise for Moussa Diaby. What an instant impact the young man has just had. Unfortunately enough for me, his goals have kept our place in top spot in the Premier League. Now it's 78 points, but just like in real life, there is no stopping Manchester City. They are just as relentless as we are, as they remain in clear sight of us, just 1 point behind. However, despite the positive run of form, the board are continuing to knock on my door, demanding to know why I'm not reaching their supposed lofty expectations. Now granted, I get it, we did get knocked out of the FA Cup and we did get knocked out of the Champions League, but what more can we do in the Premier League? I've just got to hope with just 6 games remaining to play, they don't pull the plug before I get the chance to finish my good work. However, as we move on to our very first played game of this episode, it's going to be Newcastle United at Villa Park that are going to be desperately hoping to put the final nail in my managerial coffin here at Aston Villa Football Club. Eddie Howe has done some tremendous work at the Geordie club, and he will be hoping that he can try and dash our title hopes and try and bring Newcastle United back into the Champions League spots at the expense of Aston Villa. Only a couple of changes to the usual starting 11, with the likes of Martinez, Bowie, Tapsoba, Torres and Estupiñán all starting at the back. It's the usual central midfield with Kamara, Vitinha and Fratesi, but it's all change up front. Buendia gets an unlikely start on the left-hand side, having not featured very often so far this season, and Wilfred Gnonto, of course, the man in fine form, starts on the right, with Ollie Watkins leading the line up front. Pau Torres out to Estupiñán on the left-hand side. They're going to try and feed a ball down the line into Buendia. Buendia ends up coming inside, though, to try and win it and feeds a lovely ball into Fratesi. Fratesi goes inside. Lovely play from the Italian, and Fratesi strikes. What a save from Pope. Good start here for Aston Villa inside the opening 10 minutes. You can tell we are in a rich vein of form in the Premier League, as Ollie Watkins tried to get his head on that one. Wasn't able to. Buendia will get a second opportunity to throw it back in, this time with his right foot, and it's Kamara off the bar. My word, what a powerful header that would have been if that had gone in. Estupiñán into Buendia now. What an electric start here in the opening 15 minutes. Estupiñán cuts back into Fratesi. He's going to try and see if he can find a ball out to Kamara. Kamara goes all the way out to the right-hand side to Sasha Bowie. First time ball, gets it all wrong, cleared away. Well, look at this. Newcastle barely managing to step foot inside my half here. Vitinha trying to wriggle away from a Newcastle press, and he's done a really good job of doing so. It is wave after wave of attack here for Aston Villa as Gnonto cuts it inside for Ollie Watkins. He tries to go past Van Botman. Good defending though. Enes Unal, lovely pass into Minter. Oh, lovely little dash past Pau Torres, and Estupiñán's the man who tries to come across. Isn't able to quick enough. And Newcastle United, against the run of play, have somehow managed to get themselves into the lead with 25 minutes on the clock. Well, it was all about Minter, the lovely little touch away from Pau Torres, and Estupiñán couldn't get across quickly enough. and it was a fabulous finish, one-on-one with Emi Martinez. The goalkeeper tried to make himself big, but he didn't make himself big enough. Perhaps he could have done better, but Minter will not care. Newcastle lead 1-0. Into Wilfred Gnonto, looking to spark some life into this Aston Villa attack. Sacha Boey into the feet of Ollie Watkins. Lovely stuff. Ollie Watkins strikes. Another big save from Nick Pope. Buendia wins it back high, feeds it back to Estupinian. He goes in field for Kamara. Kamara looks for Wilfred Gnonto, turns onto his right, tries to strike. Good block again from Botman. Pau Torres over to the left-hand side into the path of Estupinian. He's got space here to try and work, and he's fed a lovely ball into Buendia, who's managed to split two defenders. He drives into the box. I'm going to try and look for the cutback. Isn't able to find anyone, and in the end gets the shot all wrong, blazes it straight to Nick Pope, and it's easy for the Newcastle goalkeeper. Kamara has it now. Oh, look at that for a pass. A defence-splitting pass all the way out to Estupinian. Feeds it across. Gets the ball all wrong. Shah makes it look easy, and we just can't seem to unlock a stubborn Newcastle defence this half. Well, you can guarantee that Manchester City will be breathing down our necks. This is a game that we have to continue our fine run of form, and we have to try and see if we can get the 3 points. Again, though, if we're going to do it, we're going to have to come behind and do it the hard way. Wolf for Newcastle down the right-hand side. Pau Torres tried to come across. Wasn't able to put a challenge in. Fratesi was, though. And now the Spaniard can release Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins down the line into Buendia. He's just slipped past the challenge, and now he releases Wilfred Gnonto. This is a brilliant piece of play. Wilfred Gnonto's in, and Wilfred Gnonto gets us back on level terms. Well, oh my word, since coming back into the starting 11, there is just no stopping this Italian. He made the run across the defence, and he got ahead of the final defender, and it was a fabulous finish past the goalkeeper into the top right-hand corner to bring us back on level terms. It's 1-1 here at Villa Park. Newcastle have a corner here. They're going to try and strike back immediately. They go short with the corner to Anthony Gordon. He's just going to wait for me to try and put a challenge in. Buendia didn't do a good enough job. Anthony Gordon still has it. It's Sven Botman on the edge of the box, trying to see if he can pass through my defence, but we are holding firm at the moment as Kamara puts in a brilliant challenge. Releases Vitina, who now releases the goal scorer Wilfred Gnonto. He can try and stretch his legs down the right side. Instead goes back to Kamara. Kamara back out to the right hand side to Wilfred Gnonto. I'm going to try and see if I can lift this to the far post. Almost. Buendia almost got to it. It's headed down by Ollie Watkins into Fratesi. It's blocked. Corner. And out of the two teams, we are suddenly looking like the more likely to go and win this one. And it's a lovely ball in. Looking for the head of Kamara. It was well read by the defenders. The goalkeeper just punched it clear. Only out as far as Tielemans, though, on as a sub. He tried to play it back. Anthony Gordon was there, though, with a challenge. He manages to escape for Newcastle. Gordon again. Tries to go past Kamara, feeds it into Inazunal, who loses it, and now Vitina now has it. Can he try and feed a ball into Leon Bailey on as a substitute? Lovely stuff. He plays in Tielemans. Tielemans finds Santiago Jimenez, who finds the back of the net. Aston Villa Football Club have turned this game on its head. We've come from 1-0 down, we're 2-0 up. We've done it the hard way, but we've done it right. The crowd have gone absolutely wild, and rightly so. You could understand their elation. Another beautiful piece of build-up play. A lovely little ball in from Tielemans, and it was just the dinked finish from Jimenez on as a substitute. Gave it past the goalkeeper, Nick Pope. To his frustration, has conceded 2 goals in a very short space of time after a brilliant first half. We are now back in front, 2-1 Aston Villa. Into Wilfred Gnonto. Oh, lovely little turn away from the Newcastle left back. And look at him now try and drive down the right side. Instead, there's no real option, so I'm going to cut back inside. Look for the overlapping run of Sacha Boey. Feed it across to the back post. I was looking for Leon Bailey. It fell to Estupinian, who tried to strike, blazed it against the defender. It's kept alive, though. Yuri Tielemans now has it. He's trying to look for an option. Can he find an option? He can. He finds Estupinian, who almost found the back of the net, but Nick Pope, with an outstretched arm, did enough to block the ball away. But there's only a couple of minutes remaining on the clock here for Newcastle to try and find their way back into it, as Barnes now has it, and he does find a way back into it for Newcastle. In the dying minutes of this game, Harvey Barnes, on as a substitute in what is pretty much his first kick of the game, levels it up here for Newcastle at Villa Park. Oh, it's absolute heartbreak. We did all the hard work to get ourselves back into the lead after being 1-0 down, and we absolutely throw it away. We fell asleep at the back, and Harvey Barnes, fresh on as a substitute, had the wherewithal to ghost into the box. Power strike past Emi Martinez. Eddie Howe's delighted, it's 2-2. And with that being the last kick of the game, you can see the frustration on my face. Yuri Tielemans leads all the Aston Villa players off the field. We threw it away in the dying minutes of the game, and what sort of impact is that going to have on our title fight in the rundown to the last few games of the season? Full time here, it finishes Aston Villa 2, Newcastle 2. And as you will see, that draw against Newcastle has done my status with the board absolutely no favours whatsoever. I am now down to a critical level. Only 49 is my rating with my popularity with the board, and I just can't help but feel that I am walking a tightrope for the remainder of the season. How long long more do I have as manager of Aston Villa Football Club? And after simming 3 more games in the season, a singular goal from Gnonto yet again is still not enough as we succumb to a 2-1 loss against Manchester United. We get back on track though in the second of 3 games with Gnonto scoring twice again to give us a 3-1 win away from home against Southampton, before finally beating Fulham away from home 2-1 courtesy of another goal from Ollie Watkins and yet another one from Wilfried Gnonto. I mean, maybe I've been making a mistake not playing this young man for the bulk of the season. He's only had 17 appearances in all competitions, 13 goals, and 10 of those have come in 11 Premier League appearances. Absolutely unbelievable form this young Italian finds himself in. However, with that loss against Manchester United still looming over our heads whilst we are still top of the table, 1 point clear of Manchester City, they do frustratingly have a game in hand on us that if they win, they will leapfrog us into first place. However, with just 2 games remaining for this season, one against Chelsea in the final game of the season, and the very next one against our title rivals Manchester City, if we are able to beat the Citizens at Villa Park, we can potentially put ourselves in a commanding position to genuinely put one hand on the Premier League title with just 1 game remaining. It is not going to be an easy task though, as we seek revenge for the team that knocked us out of the FA Cup, but I am confident we can do just that today. As you can see, there are no surprises and no changes to my usual starting 11, with Wilfried Gnonto retaining his place on the right hand side. A little bit of fatigue has crept in, so I was tempted to put him on the bench, but with him being in such fine form, I'm hoping he can at least give us 1 hour and hopefully sprinkle some Italian magic on this game. So here we go then. This is most definitely the biggest game of this entire career mode. A game that if we lose, we can kiss goodbye to our title chances. As Kevin De Bruyne though looks to try and see if he can make an immediate impact. He goes past the defenders, strikes it straight at Martinez, who made a bit of a hash of that at first attempt, but did manage to just bundle onto the ball and eventually throw it clear. Out to Jack Grealish. 17 minutes on the clock here, and so far, I have to be honest, it's been a pretty tame affair, which I'm sure will suit Manchester City far more than us. They've just got to make sure that they do not lose this game today. Ollie Watkins goes in field to Kamara. There's been about 20-25 minutes played so far. I've got to be honest, it's been a fairly tame affair. Neither team really able to break the deadlock as Estupinian tries to get into the box. He's blocked off, though, by Ruben Diaz, and Kamara, though, wins the ball back really well, and now gives it to Zaniolo, who manages to get there ahead of Ruben Diaz, but he doesn't really have anywhere to go. He runs out of space, feeds it back to Fratesi. Vitina picks it up, strikes it against Rodri, manages to keep the ball, though. He lays it back off into the path of Tapsoba. Pretty much every man in the Manchester City half now. Zaniolo, though, picks it up into Ollie Watkins, strikes it against Nathan Ake, goes for the rebound. Edison equal to it, though. Well, 30 minutes on the clock, and that was pretty much our first real clear-cut opportunity of the game. One we couldn't take advantage of, though. Zaniolo almost got his head on it, but it was well cleared away by the Manchester City defence. Goes to Jack Grealish, the former Aston Villa man, into Kevin De Bruyne. He's surely going to look for the overlap. He does find the overlap. Pau Torres comes across, though, and he goes past both Jack Grealish and Kevin De Bruyne. Ollie Watkins, though, doesn't have enough to go past Ruben Diaz, as Manchester City now will bring it back into our half. Erling Haaland into Kevin De Bruyne, back out wide to Jack Grealish. Manchester City starting to purr here at Villa Park, but eventually we managed to come across. It's been pretty much a bit of a bitty game. Neither team really able to create any clear-cut chances, but hopefully Wilfried Gnonto is going to look to make an end to that right now. He feeds a ball into Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins into the box, into Fratesi, and on his left, what a save from Edison again. Well, how was that not 1-0? A brilliant opportunity, but a brilliant save from one of the best goalkeepers in the world, showing once again why he is. And again, it's a third big save from the Brazilian. We just can't seem to find a way past him. Well, as the second half kicks off, we are going to have to find a way past him, because if we don't, that pretty much hands the Premier League title to Manchester City, regardless of what we do against Chelsea in our very next game, as they do already have a game in hand on us. But Wilfried Gnonto is going to be the man to try and put an end to the stalemate so far here at Villa Park. Tries to put a ball across, it's blocked. Corner, going to be the Italian Fratesi, who's going to be able to take the corner. He's going to fling it in, looking for the head this time. Zaniolo heads it down. Edison is equal to it. It's his 4th big save of the game. There is just no stopping him today. Into Matheus Nunes. He's going to look surely for the overlap here of Kevin De Bruyne. He does. He feeds it into Erling Haaland. A dangerous combination, a lethal combination for Manchester City. Tapsoba comes across, though, and challenges Erling Haaland. Really nicely done. And now, though, we go and give the ball away. A Stupinian, really poor from him. And, oh, my word. Oh, God, it's bouncing around like a pinball here. I can't even keep track myself. Oh, my word. It's blazed over the bar from Rodrigo in the end. Martinez actually did manage to get a touch on that. What a fabulous save from the Argentinian. Manchester City have a corner, though, right on the hour mark. It's thrown into the box, headed clear by Vitina. Only out as far as Nunes. Back into De Bruyne. Rodrigo has it again. He's been blocked off here by Pau Torres. Grealish strikes, sends it way wide. 67 minutes played. Manchester City have another corner, and in this second half, they're really starting to ramp up the pressure. As, oh my word, Emi Martinez just palmed that out right into our box, into the danger area. And somehow the Manchester City strikers didn't manage to get on the end of that. That was very fortunate. And for us, we breathe a sigh of relief. But they keep on coming, wave after wave of attack here from Manchester City. They know this is their chance to cement themselves as the Premier League champions. But it's Pau Torres who comes across with a brilliant challenge. He releases Leon Bailey, who's come on as a substitute in place of Wilfred Gnonto. And now he can try and see if he can lead the charge for a counter-attack. It's Alex Moreno, goes in field, loses it to Cancelo. Matheus Nunes comes across. And again, we just can't seem to break down this Manchester City defence. End-to-end stuff here, but neither team really able to create any clear-cut chances. Kamara into Fratesi. Fratesi now into Leon Bailey. He's waiting for the overlap of Sacha Boey. He finds the overlap of Sacha Boey. Boey into the box, cuts it back. Leon Bailey on his left. He's blocked off by Ruben Diaz. Brilliant defending. Phil Foden for City. He was being chased down by Kamara, but managed to wriggle away from him, and now Erling Haaland has it into Rodri, who finds himself in an advanced position. Erling Haaland has it once again into Rodrigo. Rodrigo tries to go past Alex Moreno. He's bundled off the ball, though, by Fratesi, and now it's Ollie Watkins. Tried to feed it across, but Ruben Diaz has been an absolute wall at the back for Manchester City here today. But Leon Bailey does, in fact, have the chance to stretch his legs and go down this right-hand side, cuts it back in. Who else is going to be there but Ruben Diaz? Phil Foden for City. We are into stoppage time here. We've got to try and win the ball back here, but Phil Foden has it, and he feeds it into Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland goes past Tapsoba, back into Kevin De Bruyne, does the step over. He's blocked off, but somehow he still manages to have the ball and strikes Emi Martinez with a big save. But it's going to be a corner that Kevin De Bruyne is going to take. He's going to fling it into the box here. He does. Looks for the head of Erling Haaland. It's headed clear, though, by Pau Torres. Only out as far as Rodrigo. Referee, I am desperate for you to blow the whistle. I cannot afford for Manchester City to score here. Headed clear by Sacha Boey, and again by Fratesi, and he does, in fact, blow the whistle for full time. Well, it wasn't the result we wanted. I'm sure Manchester City will leave Villa Park far the happier of the two teams. But for us, I guess the only positive we can take from it is that it will go down to the final game of the season, and we just have to make sure we have kept our title chances alive, and we've just got to make sure we go to Stamford Bridge and get the job done, as at full time here it finishes 0-0, Aston Villa, Manchester City. Fortunately enough for me, though, it is Chelsea who have ironically come to our rescue, as they managed to get a draw against Manchester City, which means that we are now level on points heading into the final game of the season. As you can tell, they do have a better goal difference, and they do have a far better goals for tally, so we have to make sure that we get the win against Chelsea. We've got to hope that our arch rivals, Wolves, who've had our number all this entire career mode, can do us a favour at the Etihad Stadium and get a point at least against Manchester City, because if they do, ironically, they could potentially hand Aston Villa Football Club their first ever Premier League title. But as I walk out in front of the press for what potentially could be, depending on how this last game of the season goes, my very last game for Aston Villa Football Club as manager, I'm going to rally the troops. This is our opportunity. This is the chance for us to do something that no other Aston Villa team has been able to do, and that is to achieve the ultimate Premier League glory. This is not going to be an easy task, though, as we face off against the Chelsea side, who, whilst they have been a bit indifferent so far this season, I'm sure will be keen to send off their travelling fans at Villa Park with a smile at the final game of the season. And it's a game that does, of course, see us line up with our strongest starting 11. You can see there is a little bit of fatigue that is creeping into my camp to some of the key players like Kamara, like Fratesi, like Pau Torres, and especially like Wilfred Gnonto on the right-hand side. But I've just got to hope one last dance from these players to try and get us over the line here today. So here we go then, live from Villa Park. It's Aston Villa against Chelsea Football Club in our last opportunity to win Premier League silverware for the first time in Aston Villa's illustrious career. Can we do it? Time will tell. Fratesi out wide to a Stupinian, who's burst past the challenge of the left midfielder, and he's burst past the challenge of the left back, and he flings the ball into the box looking for Wilfred Gnonto at the back post. It was a good header clear, though, by the Chelsea defence. Rodriguez out to Madueke. Madueke feeds it all the way across into Mudryk on the left-hand side, and it was Kamara who came across with a thumping challenge, from the central defensive midfielder. We're going to be hoping for a more creative performance than we managed to fashion against Manchester City. And already it looks like we are getting close to doing that as Ollie Watkins feeds it into Fratesi. What a save from Sanchez at full stretch. Just about managed to get a fingertip to it and keep the scores at 0-0. Nicholas Jackson for Chelsea, short one into Nkunku, and Nkunku goes round the back into the path of Mudryk. Lovely little pass, but it's cut out by Pau Torres, and he feeds a ball out to Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins now can try and release Wilfred Gnonto, and Wilfred Gnonto manages to get there ahead of Disasi, and Wilfred Gnonto will continue his run. Can he try and find any sort of option? He's held up. He does eventually manage to find Vitina. He finds Kamara, tries to go short. It's well intercepted though by Rodriguez, and Chelsea can bring the ball clear out to Nkunku. Goes out to the left hand side to Mudryk. He's got space to run into here. Has he got the beating of Sacha Bowie? I got a feeling this is going to be a real ding-dong battle between these two. Feeds it into the box, and Tapsoba just about managed to get his head on it. It was a real just cluster in the box there. Neither team was able to get on the end of it. Oh my word! Christopher Nkunku with an absolutely sensational strike out of absolutely nothing to give Chelsea a 1-0 lead. Well, yet again, if we're going to win, we're going to have to do it the hard way. We didn't clear our lines well enough, and we didn't get out to Nkunku quick enough. And when you give that man that much time and space on the edge of the box, look what he can do to you. I am furious. It's 1-0 Chelsea. Well, towards the back end of the season, our performances, certainly in played games that I've been involved in, just haven't really been at the level that they were at the start of the season. Is that because we're just losing a little bit of momentum? And are we just starting to suffer with the lofty expectations, both from the board and the fans? Who knows? But again, we've got about an hour left on the clock to try and turn this game on its head, and it's going to be a Stupinian who's going to try and lead the charge for us here. Wilfred Gnonto, though, the man in form. Is he able to get past Disasi? No, he's not. Good defending. Tapsoba's going to take this free kick, and he's going to take it short into the path of Pau Torres. How many options does he have up ahead of him? Finds Fratesi. He finds a lovely little reverse ball into Sacha Bowie. Going to try and dink this one across. No one in there. Is headed clear again by that man, Disasi. Out to a Stupinian. He takes it on his left and strikes. Big save from Sanchez. Are we going to keep it in play with Ollie Watkins? Yes, we are. He feeds a ball into Wilfred Gnonto. Tries to shift it onto his left. It's cleared away, though, yet again by Chelsea. Well, at the end of the first half, we were unable to find the back of the net. We had ample opportunities, but Sanchez and that Chelsea defence are holding firm, and we've got to try and do anything we can to get the victory here today. If we don't, Aston Villa will not be ever crowned Premier League champions in this career mode. Into Nkunku. Madueke's got an overlapping run of Gusto down the right hand side, and look at the space he's got. He's got the pace to get away from Pau Torres. The Spaniard's frantically trying to get back here, but he doesn't have any options in the centre, so he's got to hold the ball up. That allows us to come back across, and Martinez makes a bit of a meal of that one, as does Pau Torres. And out of absolutely nothing, Chelsea, much to my frustration, now have a corner kick, and it's one that Christopher Nkunku, the goal scorer, is going to take. Feeds it into the edge of the box. It's headed away by Ollie Watkins, only out as far as the centre-back Humphreys. He gives it back to Nkunku. Nkunku's going to look to feed it back across the box into the back post. Sacha Bowie clears it away. And again, we can try and see if we can hit them on the counter-attack with Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins, he just couldn't get past Luca Digne. Good defending from the left-back. And now Barr can bring this one forward. He's looking for an option in the box. Finds Nicholas Jackson, who gets his touch all wrong. Vitina now can bring it away. End-to-end stuff here at the start of the second half. Wilfred Gnonto tried to feed a ball to Barr. Took too long. And Chelsea go again with Madueke into Nicholas Jackson. Nicholas Jackson back into Madueke. This is the chance for Chelsea that they make us pay, and they make it count, and they give themselves a 2-0 lead. Well, is our season just falling apart here in the very final game? Our defence was undone, and it was under the arms of Emi Martinez. Is the pressure getting to Aston Villa in front of our home fans? And is this the end of our title challenge? Stupinian goes central into Ollie Watkins. It's lost again by Disasi. That has pretty much been the story of the game. Every single forward pass we've tried to play, Chelsea just seem to have the right man in the right place to be able to intercept it. Now they launch a counter-attack of their own. Pau Torres comes across, though, to block off Malo Gusto. And now he plays it down the line into Nicolo Zaniolo, who's going to try and feed it over the top. Disasi, of course, is there yet again. This time Ollie Watkins has it. And this time again, Malo Gusto this time gets in the way. Every single time I'm losing count of the amount of final passes we've been trying to play and that have just been blocked off by the Chelsea defence. Nicholas Jackson, though, tries to drive into my box. My defence have fallen asleep, and Nkunku straight at Emi Martinez. Fortunately enough for me, he hadn't fallen asleep, and he keeps the scores level. Well, as you can see, I've been waiting to make this substitution for quite some time. 4 players coming on with just over 5 minutes plus stoppage time remaining to try and somehow see if we can magically turn this game on its head. Pau Torres Goes short into Yuri Tielemans. Tielemans finds Zaniolo. Zaniolo's going to look for the overlapping run of Moreno. Again, it is blocked off by Malo Gusto. This is becoming beyond frustrating here today. The players' heads have dropped. My head has dropped. And we just can't seem to find a way past this stubborn, relentless Chelsea defence. Now, it's Jacob Ramsey all the way over to the left-hand side into Alex Moreno. He comes central into Zaniolo. Zaniolo into Yuri Tielemans. He goes into the box with his left. Another big save from Sanchez. Well, we've either not been able to make the final pass, or when we do make the final pass, the final man in the wall of Sanchez is able to get a block on and be able to save and stop us from finding the back of the net every single time as the referee blows for full time. Well, that is it. Mauricio Pochettino shakes my hand. You can see the disappointment on my face. Our Premier League title hopes come to a crashing end here at Villa Park. That man, Christopher Nkunku, his early goal was a huge factor in what was a really, really difficult game for me today. As at full time here, it finishes Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 2. No surprise to see that our arch rivals Wolves did us absolutely no favours though in the other game, as Manchester City thumped them 3-0, and it means that yet again, for another season running, Manchester City finished top of the Premier League table, 3 points clear of us, who unfortunately can only do enough to finish in second place. Ollie Watkins finishes our top goal scorer this season yet again with 20 goals in all competitions, 18 of those coming in the Premier League. Moussa Diaby, oh how much I missed him at the end of the season. He ends up second place with 13. And Wilfred Gnonto, his incredible run of form was still not enough for us. 13 goals in all competitions, 10 of those goals coming in just 13 Premier League appearances. What a final few months for the young Italian. As for me though, with more disappointment and me failing to hit pretty much all of my major targets for the board, not winning the Premier League, not winning the FA Cup, and not getting to the final of the Champions League, means that despite having high hopes at the beginning of the season, it's another one that Aston Villa finish empty-handed. Second place in the Premier League, no trophies to our name, and I believe my time at Aston Villa Football Club, unfortunately, is up. But that is it for the end of today's episode. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this episode and the entire series. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought, and obviously don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you again next time for another huge EAFC 24 career mode.